Hey everybody, here to do something I haven't done in a long time. Post a video on my YouTube. Yeah, this thing has been dormant for quite a while. But yeah, I'm back to doing stuff, making videos and doing live streams and all of that. I will promise to be doing more on the channel. Mondays are probably pretty much going to be the days that I do things on here. Um, Once more Star Wars things gets going and there's actually stuff to talk about, I'll be doing a Star Wars show on Wednesdays. But for now, Mondays will be YouTube days. I do live streams in Facebook group on the Shoebox. I also go on Twitter Live. Have yet to go on Instagram Live, but I want to. So be on the lookout for that. Oh, and over there you can see, uh, right there you can see Sebastian, and under him I think is Sora. You see my little plushies back there behind the fan. Um, Little fun. So if you were wondering what that was, that's Sebastian from Black Butler. Best anime ever. Um, but here for now, we're going to be talking about the Oscars. Now, I don't really it's pretty much like a recap. Like, we'll go through it. I'll give my opinions. I don't think there's much. For those of you that follow me on Facebook and Twitter and all of the other things, there isn't really much that you haven't heard me say. There will be some stuff because I got caught up on all of the nominations before yesterday. So there are some things that you haven't heard me say on social media anywhere. And sorry, I was getting my notes up. I want to make sure I get these all set up. Um, but yeah, but since it's been a while since I've been on YouTube, I will divulge a little bit into my opinions on these films and whatnot. I probably should have done this before I started recording. Um, but like, one thing that I really want to keep with this channel is I really want to keep it really low key. Um, we'll work on making it a lot more professional one of these days, making it look better, all that kind of stuff. But for now, it's just about having fun, talking about movies, talking about the things we enjoy. So, let me see if I can pull up. Um, Maybe I should do this. Um, I'm sure it's probably up by now. Um, it's just an easy. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I pulled up the Wikipedia so I could remember everything easier. So I'm just going to run through the night, talk about the winners, my thoughts on each. There's really only one award that I have a problem with, and that is probably the most you're going to hear me talk about any of the winners or losers or whatever you want to call it. Baby Yoda. Yes, this is my my cup. Um, so all right, so the first award given out was for supporting actor, and Brad Pitt won for supporting actor. The other nominees were Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Anthony Hopkins and The Two Popes, and Al Pacino and Joe Pesci both for The Irishman. My vote was for Pacino. Um, and it stayed that way even after seeing all of the movies. Um, don't get me wrong, Brad Pitt is my second choice. I did not. The only movie in this particular list that I have not seen was A Beautiful Day. I wanted to. It was just it came to the theater around me, but short on cash, life stuff was happening. Just didn't get a chance to go out and see it. Um, but I hear it's great, and I hear that Tom Hanks does an amazing job. But Brad Pitt was my second choice, so I don't really have too much of a problem with it. But I don't think I've seen Pacino be this good since his acting in *Scent of a Woman*. Scent of a Woman is my favorite Pacino role. Excuse me. And I don't think he's done anything in his career other than playing Jimmy Hoffa quite this good. So I was disappointed that he didn't get it because obviously Pacino is one of the best in the industry. But like I said, Brad Pitt is a great. His performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was amazing, and I'll get more into my thoughts about the movie itself, and I'll probably end up saying more about the actors and all that once we get to the final award of the night. But yeah, Brad Pitt was good. Um, was he in Glorious Bastards good, or you know, um, other movies that he's been in? I don't know. Um, to me, Brad Pitt has always been one of those consistently good actors, so it's really hard to say. I think it's been a while since Pitt has genuinely given a bad performance. So, um, yeah, he's really consistent, and I think he really keeps that with his performance on Once Upon a Time. So overall, I don't have a problem with his win. Like I said, but yeah, the next award was for animated feature, um, which went to Toy Story 4. Again, my second choice, um, which is odd for me to say because undoubtedly last year, Toy Story 4 was the animated film. Actually, I would probably even say the film, period, that hit me the most emotionally, just because of where I was at in life last year. A whole bunch of like personal reasons. I think it's incredible that the Toy Story movies have been around as long as they have. And yet each one that comes out, if you're around my age, I feel like with each movie they release, strangely, um, is like meant for our generation just as much as it is for the kids growing up. Like Toy Story 3 was very much about that transitioning period of, leaving high school and going to college, and how much of your childhood do you take with you, and all of those different things. And in the same way, Toy Story 4 was very much that. And I don't want to give any specifics away for anyone that maybe hasn't seen Toy Story 4 yet, which is now on Disney Plus, so you should go watch it. Um, but Klaus was the one I wanted to win. Um, I have not seen Missing Link, and I have not seen I Lost My Body, which I should, and I really don't have any reason why I shouldn't have, because Missing Link is on Hulu to watch, and I Lost My Body is on Netflix right now. So I probably should go get caught up on those. Um, but Klaus was very much one of those movies when I started it. I wasn't sure about exactly how I felt about it. The beginning is really not what you thought the movie was going to be at all, but as this movie finds its pace and you really see how the story develops, it becomes this wonderfully, beautifully, and emotionally enriching story. Sorry for taking drinks a lot and everything. This might be more info than you want to know, but I have like the worst canker sore right now. So my mouth dries out really fast. So got to keep that got to keep it, wet inside. I won't say the other word because I know a lot of you probably don't like that word, but I got to keep it, you know. But Klaus was such a beautiful movie, and I really wanted to see it win. Um, and this doesn't take away from Pixar and Disney and everything that they do over there, because obviously I'm probably one of the world's biggest Pixar fans. I even the few bad movies that they've done, I still am pretty big fans of. Um, I'm a big, or I should say, I'm a pretty big fan of. That's the right way to say it. Um, but I think I would have liked to see them sort of take a back seat, um, for Klaus, but that didn't happen. And so that's a thing. Animated short film was next. Hair Love won for that, which is on YouTube to watch, which I didn't know. I have not watched it yet. I was gonna watch it last night before I went to bed after the um, the award show got over, but I honestly just forgot about it. So I'll probably actually watch it when I get done posting this up on YouTube. The next thing that happened was Into the Unknown. Oh, by the way, the one thing I will say, is the only animated short film that I saw was Kitbull. So that was my vote. Um, but I hadn't seen any of the others, so I just wanted to give that little bit of note there. The next thing that happened was the Into the Known performance, which undoubtedly was my favorite performance of the night. I thought it was really cool seeing all of the different um, versions of Elsa singing together. I thought that was really impactful and powerful, and all of them actually had really incredibly good voices. Um, and I when Idina Menzel sang "Let It Go" for the year that Frozen came out, I didn't think she did a good job. I'm not going to say it right here. Now, Idina Menzel is a legend, and she's incredible. And I've seen her sing the song brilliantly. But for whatever reason, I didn't think she did a good job at the Oscars. I don't know if it was how the sound was coming through the TV. Maybe it sounded better live. I don't know what it was, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Her singing the couple parts that she sang by herself, this is the best that I have ever heard her sing. Like, ever. She was completely on point singing Into the Unknown. I thought she was fabulous. Bite me if you disagree. The next one was for original screenplay. Um, let's see, where is it? Best original screenplay. They mixed this whole thing all up on Wikipedia. There we go. I guess it sort of makes sense because they do it in the order of how important the award is and not when it happens in the show. Yeah, best original screenplay. Parasite won. Um, I don't have a problem with that. Um, I was rooting for Knives Out because it was one of the few awards Knives Out was nominated for. And if you've heard Ryan Johnson talking about like him writing it and the period in his life and all of that kind of stuff, and if you've seen the movie, um, yeah, I really wanted to see Knives Out to win, but I mean, you can't complain with Parasite. I mean, I think the only movie I would have probably had a problem with winning was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I use that language lightly, because pretty much most of Tarantino's films are really well written. So I really wouldn't have had a problem with that. But this I was so happy about. Adapted screenplay went to Jojo Rabbit, which um, I thought maybe it would go to Irishman or perhaps maybe Joker, but I was so happy that it went to Jojo Rabbit. Um, the movie is beautiful, and even though the movie is a lot different than the source material, it is one of those things where it makes me want to go back and check it out. So, um, number or the next one, what is live action short film? The Neighbor's Window. Didn't see, so can't really say. I didn't see any of the short films this year, which I normally don't. There's been a few years where I have, but I didn't see any of them this year. Um, Production design, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Again, don't really disagree with that. Um, that was fair. Costume design went to Little Women. Again, I maybe would have voted for Joker over, but Little Women probably was my second choice. Um, let me see what else was um there. Okay, Jojo Rabbit. Okay, see, Jojo Rabbit I think maybe actually would have been my second choice. Um, and then Little Women, probably. But hey, I do not have a problem with Little Women winning at all. Um, not at all. The next thing that happened was the "I'm Standing with You" performance from Breakthrough, which okay, I honestly thought it was the weakest performance of the night. Um, I really did. I didn't like it at all, personally. Um, Number nine, or the next one was I have it listed, so I'm looking at numbers. So I'm inclined to say number nine, number 10. But the next one was documentary feature film. It went to American Factory, which I actually watched a few hours before the ceremony. It's on Netflix. You can find it on there on a watch. And yeah, um, I can't say whether I thought it deserved to win over one of the others because I haven't seen any of the others. But I don't have a problem with it winning. I think it had a very good message to say. I thought the doc was really interesting. Yeah, it was good. It is what it is. Documentary short subject: learning to skateboard in a war zone if you're a girl. One, which after seeing the clips and hearing the two women um, talking during their speech, I really, really want to see the short film now. So the second I can get my hands on it to watch, I think I will. Um, the next award was Best Supporting Actress, went to Laura Dern. And look, I haven't seen a lot of people say this, but I am in complete agreement. Um, Laura Dern should win, but not for Marriage Story. If Laura Dern was going to get nominated for anything, in my opinion, her performance in Little Women is so much better than her performance in Marriage Story. And that's not to say she did a bad job in Marriage Story. That's not like a, this or that thing. But I'm saying if you're gonna nominate Laura Dern for something she was in last year, go Little Women. Um, but yeah, I a lot of predictions that I was looking at before the ceremony was saying that she was probably gonna take the win. I was sort of rooting for Scarlett Johansson because out of the two awards she was nominated for, I thought she really deserved to win for Jojo Rabbit. But I mean, like I said, I don't I don't have a problem with Laura Dern winning because she was fantastic, and she made me emotional during her acceptance speech because I'm a huge Laura Dern fan, so I couldn't be happier for her. Sound editing went to Ferrari, which it should. Sound mixing went to 1970, which it should. Ford versus Ferrari should have also been nominated for sound mixing. Probably would have won if it had, but really glad those two won for that. The next thing that happened was Randy Newman did his performance for I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away from Toy Story. Love Randy Newman. It was cute. Wasn't anything special, but it was Randy Newman. Um, Cinematography was next, and it went to 1917 to Roger Deakins, which I don't think anybody was really surprised at. I mean, you could make um, you probably could make a case for Joker, but I haven't seen The Lighthouse yet. But I really don't see how Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did anything really special. Definitely didn't need to win for Irishman. Um, Joker's the only one that I think had a legitimate shot at winning. So I'm really happy that 1917 won because the achievement of what he did in that movie was well deserved. Film editing went to Ford v Ferrari, same thing. There was a bunch of really good editing this year. I love the editing in Jojo Rabbit and in Joker and Parasite. Even The Irishman had really great editing, but by and large, the editing in Ford v Ferrari was out of this world. I love the way this thing was edited together. Both of the editors on this movie deserve that award, undoubtedly. So again, I'm perfectly happy. Um, the next thing that happened was the stand-up performance from Harriet, the song. Um, my second least favorite song of the night. Honestly, it was all right. Um, Achievement in special effects was next, went to 1917, and here's the one I have issues with, and I'm gonna bitch and moan to each and every single one of you that want to go at me on this, because here's the thing. Here's where I'm gonna get a little preachy. Here's where I'm gonna get a little preachy. Let me take a sip of get a sip of that. All right. Here's the deal. I recognize that not everyone that watches the Oscars are necessarily film auteurs or people that are that deep into what goes into making a film. You know, I understand that for maybe a lot of you out there, you just enjoy movies for the sake of movies. And, you know, all you know is here are the movies that are being nominated for a particular category, and that's it. And you have the one that you want to win. But you really don't think about it any more than that. Here's what I'm going to say to this. When it comes to the Oscars, this is the biggest night for these people that have spent years of their life or a good chunk of time working on these projects. Um, you know, imagine whatever you do or whatever your passion is. Imagine putting so much time and effort into it, and everyone saying you've done a great job. You know, this is fantastic. All of this different stuff. It comes to our award nights. You know, everybody is pretty sure you're gonna win because you're great. But then it comes to the night, and all of a sudden, this other thing wins, and you're like, wait a second. Like, mine was the best. Mine was objectively the best. And I've gotten all this other, you know, um, all this other recognition. So on the big night, shouldn't I get like the big award for this? Um, because that's sort of how I look at it, you know. And when it comes to the Oscars, you have to look at the award itself. You cannot look at the entire picture. Because let me tell you, perfect example. First award of the night, Brad Pitt winning for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, I really enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, okay? It's probably my second favorite Tarantino movie now. It's not my favorite. I think Django Unchained is still my favorite. But it was an excellent, well done movie. Um, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood doesn't deserve to win Best Picture. It's a great movie. Brad Pitt gave an amazing performance. An amazing performance. Just because the overall movie of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood might be a little, you know, typical Tarantino, does that take away from the amazing performance that Brad Pitt gave? Would you say any less that he deserves to win that acting award just because maybe the movie's a little lackluster? I don't think so. So when it comes to special effects, 1917 won. And look, admittedly, 1917 would probably be my second choice. But if we're gonna play fair, Lion King should have won this award. Okay? Yes, on some of the animals, maybe when their mouths speak a little bit, maybe there's a few shots of when the lions are talking, it looks a little funky, things like that. But past the sunrise at the very beginning of the movie, okay, that is the only real shot in Lion King. Okay? The only real shot in Lion King is the sunrise coming up over the landscape or whatever, like that's it. Once that sunrise goes away, every single thing you see as the viewer is computer generated. Every piece of sand, every raindrop, every tree. Sorry, that's my phone going off. Um, every everything, everything was computer generated. Okay. Now, I am in agreement with everybody that says Lion King was not a very great movie. It wasn't. It didn't even come close to touching the magic of the original Lion King movie. But that's not what we're judging. This award is not best picture. This award is not how much enjoyment did you get out of this movie. This award is best special effects, and I will fight anyone that tells me Lion King does not deserve that award. So I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm frustrated. But 1917 won, and they did a great job. They did a great job. Um, um, that literally is like the only thing that I had issue with the entire night. But even then, um, I listened to a bunch of people talk about it, and I I haven't completely made a 180, but I've probably turned a good 45 degrees from where I'm at. Um, I'm starting to come around because one of the things I heard a lot of people say was it's the whole less is more thing, yeah, it's incredible that Lion King was completely all computer generated, but it's really hard to do good special effects that blend in well with a real reality. And the fact that that entire church that he goes into, like the whole thing was computer generated, it looks real. It looks like a real building, and they showed it during the Oscars last night. So, you know, I think the way the Academy views special effects is that mentality of blending it with reality. If it blends well with reality and you forget that it's computer generated, then that's what makes really good special effects. Um, which is sort of the same, but not really, as my argument for Lion King. Because the whole thing in Lion King is computer generated. It's pretty much an animated film. Whereas with 1917, the live action stuff, the actors, the landscape, all of that just blends really well with the special effects that they did. Or the special effects blended really well with all of those things. So yeah, it's true. It is true. Um, the next award was for makeup and hairstyling. Went to Bombshell. Didn't see it. I thought maybe it would go to Judy or Joker, but that's cool. Um, Best international film went to Parasite, which I don't think anyone was very surprised at. Um, yeah, no. Um, here's the thing, okay? I've been watching the Oscars long enough to know that when you have a film that it's in another category, like best foreign film, and you also have it in best picture, it's sort of a no-brainer when it comes to the lesser category. I mean, it's like Parasite is a best picture, and Parasite is a best international film. Thus, I mean, Parasite should win best international film, and it did. Um, the next thing that happened was Elton John gave performance from Rocket Man, which was my personal favorite of the night, I think. Um, just because I love that song. I love it. I love it. I love it. Best original score went to Joker. Hildur, I'm not even going to try to say her last name. She's incredible. She did great work on Chernobyl as well. The short series on HBO. If you have not watched, I can't recommend more. Um, she's a she's a fantastic composer. Um, I would have liked to seen Thomas Newman win for 1917 because he's my favorite composer. Um, and I think the music he did for 1917 was incredible. But um, I also admit that not only is he my favorite composer, 1917 was um, one of the more recent movies that I had watched. So it was also one of those things where the music was really like fresh on the mind. And but Joker's great. I mean, I have the Blu-ray. I love Joker, so I mean, I don't have a problem with that at all. Best original song was next, and it went to "I'm Gonna Love Me," or "I'm Gonna Love Me Again," Elton John. So glad to see him win. I thought it was really cool to see Elton and Bernie up there together. I think that was like the first time they actually won an award together, because last time Elton won, it was with Hans Zimmer. So that was really cool. Best director went to Bong Joon-ho. They did the In Memoriam. Best actor went to Joaquin Phoenix. Best actress went to Renee Zellweger. Both of those, not surprised at all. Um, Loved Phoenix's um, speech. Zellweger's speech was a little uh, something, um, but she really deserved that award. Um, I haven't seen Richard Jewell yet or Bombshell, but um, I really don't think that I would see another performance by an actress that would have topped what she did in Judy. Um, Ever since that movie came out, long before award season came around, ever since that movie came out and people were seeing it, they were saying she's taken the award, and it stayed true to that the entire season. Um, and then, of course, when Joker came out, everybody wanted Phoenix to take the award, but then once award season came and he was taking all of the awards, then it sort of became a no-brainer that he was also going to take the Oscar. So I'm really glad to see, and I'm really happy to see that two actors that played this iconic role um, were able to get Oscars for it, even if Ledger's was posthumously. And then the final award of the night, Best Picture, went to Parasite. And here's where I will get a little bit more chatty before um, ending the video. Um, so the last movies that I saw before the awards were Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Little Women. Um, in terms of the best pictures, um, I loved Little Women. I loved it. Made me cry like a baby. I thought it brought new life to that story. I liked the old version of the film. This is Sarandon and Christian Bale and everyone. Kirsten Dunst. I like that movie. Um, Not as good as the new version. Not even close. Um, I think it's. I like the new version because it's a lot more artsy fartsy. Um, it really is another one of those cases where some of the things that people don't like about it are the things that I actually do like about it. Like, for instance, she jumps back and forth in time in Little Women, and this is for people that haven't seen it yet. And she uses this technique where she uses a bright, like yellowy orangey type color to signify it's in the past, and this really dark, sort of muted blue color um, when it's present day. So, there wasn't this past, present, past, present. They didn't do it chronologically. You know, um, it really jumped it around, and I really liked um, that way of telling the story. Um, because look, how old is the book of Little Women? We all know the story. We all know what happens. I think probably a bunch of us had to read it in school, you know. You know, and so I liked that the story was done again for a new generation, to sort of keep that story alive. But I also thought it was just really well done, and it deserves a place in the Best Picture list. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was great. As I said earlier, it's probably my second favorite Tarantino film now. It does really have like a fantasy quality, hence the Once Upon a Time, but it's just adjacent enough to reality that it does keep it really real in a way. And, you know, something that a lot of Tarantino's films have, at least for me, is there's usually a moment in the film where things really sort of slow down. And it's not necessarily that it gets boring, but just like not a lot of happens. Not a lot happens. It sort of has like a dull moment. This movie didn't have that. And I was really surprised because I was waiting for it. I was waiting for like a lot to happen, and then I get to this point where I'm like, okay, you know, can we, can we keep going now? But it there really didn't have that time, and I think the last time that happened for me was Django Unchained, which is why that's my number one. Well, there's a bunch of reasons why Django is my favorite, but one of the reasons I love Django so much is that same reason is you're waiting for things to sort of slow down, but it just keeps your interest like, the entire time. Um, However, with that being said, for me, there wasn't, and this sounds bad, um, but I can't think of any other way to say it. And I know there's probably going to be some people that watch this that take this the way I don't want them to, but I don't think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood transported me enough out of reality, you know? I'm all for watching things that take place in real life. Obviously, Ford v Ferrari or 1917, but it, it, for whatever reason, it didn't do it enough for me. Um, so in terms of the award, again, movie itself, like if somebody were to come over to hang out with me and they're like, "Hey, let's watch something Tarantino," Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is one that I'm going to propose. I love this movie. But when we're talking about Best Picture and all of the other movies that are nominated, I don't think it measures up. It's second to the bottom. Bottom for me is Irishman. Irishman shouldn't have been nominated. This should have been an 8 movie Best Picture year, in my opinion. Um, um, or they should have fucking put Knives Out there instead. Either one. Um, Again, that's not taken away from the Irishman. Again, I said earlier Pacino is who I wanted to win for Best Supporting, and I stand by that. Um, but the movie was way too long. Um, I can honestly tell you, I have no idea when I have any intent of watching The Irishman again. Great movie. That's the thing. Great movie, but it's 3.5 hours long. If I'm going to invest that much time into a movie, I'm gonna watch Avatar, the director's cut, or I'm going to watch Lord of the Rings. I'm not gonna watch The Irishman. It's just not gonna happen. Um, I actually think I posted my order of preference on Twitter. Let me pull that up really quick. It shouldn't be that far down. Um, so Joker's the one that I wanted to win. So for me, from top to bottom, for me, it was Joker, 1917, Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, Ford v Ferrari, Parasite, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then The Irishman. Um, um, so, you know, I Um, Sorry, I got a text while I had my phone up too. Um, so yeah, I did not think Parasite was going to take the win. Um, and I won't forget because right before it went to, or I should say, as it went to the commercial break before the final award, I was texting with a friend and I was like, and I was talking to them, but I was also sort of talking to myself out loud. And I was like, are the Best Picture going to go to Parasite? Like, because I knew it was probably either going to go to Parasite or 1917. But it is one of those things. And again, I've been watching the Oscars long enough. When you see enough awards start going to a movie, when you start seeing a trend during the show, you can sort of guess what's going to get Best Picture. And it was one of those things. Like I'm like, it won Best Foreign Film, but are they actually going to give it both awards? Because I thought for sure they were going to split the difference. I thought Parasite would obviously get Foreign Film or International Film, and then uh, Mendes probably was going to get, and then maybe Bong Joon Ho would get director, but then the win would go to 1917, but it didn't. They gave it to Parasite, and yeah, it's lower on my list. Um, when I saw the movie, it was just after it came out on Blu-ray. Super great movie. Um, haven't added it to my collection yet, but I will. Um, and I was blown away by it, hands down. Um, and had I not seen all of these other movies, I probably would have been voting for Parasite. But this year, I really wanted to try to see all of the nominations because there's been a lot of years in the past where, like last year especially, I did not see all of the Best Picture noms. This was such a strong year, and I was saying this to a lot of friends, and I don't think I've seen a year this strong since 2010, and I think it's really cool that this happened. Well, even though it's for 2019, it happened in 2020. Um, because I mean that year you had King's Speech and you had Inception, you had Black Swan, True Grit, you had The Social Network, Toy Story 3. It was insane. You had The Fighter. Um, Fantastic movies were nominated that year. And honestly, again, the only movie that I would have been upset with winning is The Irishman. If any other movie had won Best Picture, I would have been just as happy. It was a really great ceremony last night. I think something that I enjoyed more than anything about it was the sense of true celebration and the joy that everybody was having. Um, you got a really good sense of that. Um, and these for me as a film lover, a lot of these people, if not all of them, are people that I adore beyond words because film is the one thing that I am super passionate about. And the fact that these amazing creatives are able to transport me into these other worlds and these stories, I love seeing them get the praise that they deserve for the hard work and the the beautiful stuff that they do. Um, there have been a few years in the past where there are things that, like I don't want that to win. I didn't like that. I don't like this. But this year, it seems like for the most part, pretty much all of us were on the same page on who deserved to get nominated. And again, I haven't seen Bombshell. I haven't seen Richard Jewell. I didn't see excuse me. I didn't see Antonio Banderas' movie Pain and Glory. Didn't see a bunch of the documentaries, a couple of the animated, but pretty much the rest I've seen. And I'm sorry. There's a fly. Or and I'm scrolling through, and I think they got it right this year. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I think they did. Um, and here's the last thing I'm going to say before signing off, because we're already at like 45 minutes. And the last thing I'll say is this. I know everybody wants to be upset that, Greta Gerwig wasn't nominated for Little Woman, and she should have been. Taika Waititi wasn't nominated either for Jojo Rabbit. I think Jojo Rabbit deserved Best Director award over Scorsese. Um, but all in all, there was no shutouts. This or what's the word? There were no snubs. Everyone that was nominated this year, I believe, should have been there. Yeah, was the vast majority of them men? Yeah, but we have to be careful about living in a society where we want, you know, things to be equal, um, where we also want to be equal just for the sake of being equal, and we cease to stop being fair. Um, Obviously, the Academy is made up of men and women in the industry. Say what you will about percentages and all of that. Everyone has a vote. The way the Academy Awards works, you may or may not know this, but the way it works is first, all of the directors vote for what they think is the best directors. All of the actors and actresses votes for the actors and actresses. Animated for animated, all down the list, right? Then they tally all that up, and that is how you get the categories, which is announced to us when the categories, come out. Here are the movies for Best Picture. Here are the movies for this. Here's for this, and here's for that. But then the Academy as a whole, after that, votes on who they think should win out of the eventual list. Like, again, to get, Joaquin Phoenix, Antonio Banderas, Leonardo DiCaprio, um, Jonathan Pryce, and I forget who the last one was. Who am I forgetting? Was it Robert De Niro? Was it? I can't remember. But to get those 5 nominees for Best Actor, all of the actors of the Academy vote on who they think should be there, and then they tally it up, and that's how you get those 5. And they do that for every single category: cinematography, actor, actress, you know, international film, all of that. And it's not until the whole list is compiled that then the whole entire Academy votes. So look, it's literally one of those things where when it comes to Best Director, I know everybody is up in arms about Greta Gerwig not getting voted, but these were the movies that the Academy thought were best. When you're a part of the Academy and you get your thing to vote, to put down what you think deserves to be up, what your preference is, that is completely on you, right? It's not like there's someone over your shoulder going, hey, I mean, maybe there is in some cases, but, each of these Academy members votes for what they think should be there. So if they're worried that, you know, if the directors are worried that Greta should get nominated, but she won't, well, then enough of them need to put her at number 1. Even if they don't think she should win, if they just want her in, put her at number 1. There you go. But obviously, there were enough good movies this year that everybody was like, no, these are the movies that we feel are the best. Sam Mendes for 1917, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so on and so forth. And what I hate about this, woke culture is that when it comes to art is subjective. You can be woke in day to day life. You can even be woke in the stories you tell, right? But when it comes to awards, when it comes to awarding people for the work that they do in being the top of the top, you don't just put somebody up there that doesn't deserve it. And as much as I want to see more African American representation, as much as I want to see more Hispanic representation, as much as I want to see more women get nominated for directors and all of these other things, I also want it to be fair. And I don't want it to be shoehorned in. Because if I know that, oh, this person is just there because, politics, I'm not going to watch the show anymore. And to me, the Academy Awards is my Super Bowl. I don't like sports. I don't watch sports. Film is the thing that I'm passionate about. I love the Oscars. I don't even watch the Golden Globes or any of the other awards. The other award shows don't really mean much to me right now. The Oscars is my thing. And most of the time, there are years where they don't, but most of the time they get it right, I feel like. The majority of the time, the people who are nominated should be there. Like for instance, I was just talking to a friend of mine about this the other day. The year Moonlight won for Best Picture, I didn't like Moonlight. I didn't like Moonlight. But am I going to say that it doesn't deserve the win? No. It's a great movie. Directing, story, acting, Moonlight is a special film, an important film. Just because I have issues with the movie, just because it didn't hit me in a way that I wanted it to, doesn't mean it's any less incredible. And that's where I wish a lot of pundits and a lot of critics and a lot of people would separate. Most do. Most are able to differentiate between preference and what's actually there. But there's a lot that don't, you know, and that needs to change. Because I, in one hand, can say, yeah, Joker was my favorite movie of last year. And if it was my preference, Joker would have won. But Parasite is an incredible film. And I'm not going to take that away from them. I'm not going to take that from Bong Joon-ho. I wouldn't even try. The movie is incredible. And it's incredibly unique. You know? So I think that's something that a lot of people need to think about. And if you're a film fan moving forward, I would urge you to try to look at films in a different way than you have your entire life. Really start to focus on the cinematography. Start really paying attention to how camera is used in the telling of a story. Pay attention to acting. A great way to get into focusing on acting is pick an actor and watch a whole bunch of their movies. Even if it's movies that you've seen 1,000 times. Like for me, Johnny Depp, watch the first Pirates movie, watch Edward Scissorhands, watch Chocolat, watch Black Mass, watch Sleepy Hollow, watch Finding Neverland. You watch a bunch of their movies and you really see like the DNA of this actor and how they transform themselves into a role. You watch different Laura Dern movies. You watch different Meryl Streep movies. If you watch Meryl Streep movies, you watch Doubt, you watch The River Wild, you watch Florence Foster Jenkins, you watch, um, you know, Mamma Mia, you watch whatever, and you watch how they act a role, but completely 100% fine tuned to that specific piece of art. And it's the same with every piece. So when you, again, going back to what I was saying about the special effects earlier, when it comes to the special effects, that's why it's so important to me that, you know, the award be justified and that it should win. And look, 1917 has great special effects, and I really don't have a problem with it winning. But The Lion King should have won, because what Lion King did was groundbreaking. So there's my little passionate speech. There's the end of this video. I am hoping to do a little bit more on the YouTube channel. I don't know when. Like I said at the beginning of the video, when more Star Wars stuff comes, I will be doing a Star Wars show, hopefully. Um, Even if it's just little short things. But if you're watching this, thanks for watching. You can find me on Twitter, as always, at bshoe89. Join the Facebook group. Just look for the Shoebox, SHUBOX, just like the title here. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.